One quick second here, and then we will get started. Alrighty, how's that? We'll do one quick second. How is everybody? You can come off mute. Okay with me? Y'all enjoying the summit so far? Hi, Michelle. So excited to see you. I haven't seen you in forever.
Hey guys.
Hi, Daniel.
Nice to see you. I'm so happy I'm dancing here too. Yay!
The gang's all here.
Hi, good morning. Morning.
Hi. Hi. So excited. I'm just,
Beautiful, Melanie.
thanks, Michelle. How is your summit going so far?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, good. Yeah. I just spoke. It was great. So, yeah, I love stuff like this. Early, but I'm happy.
Nice.
And now I'm sweating, so I got to turn on my fan because it's like 100 degrees.
Yeah, I hear ya. It's in Florida we like our air conditioning, right, Dan? So that's why I'm wearing a turtleneck, despite the fact that it's 105 degrees outside. Alrighty, so shall we get started? I guess I should record it on this end too. Alrighty, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Melanie McSally. I am your global profit optimization and technology expert. I'm super excited to be here. I don't know why my thing is telling me to join the main session, unless you're all trying to get rid of me. Anyway, I'm super excited to be here. I'm even more excited that you made the choice to be here with me today, because by making that choice, you're actually telling me and yourself, really the whole universe, that you're done being a puppet to your own business. You think that's the true statement? Hold on,
We had people on from Karachi. We had them on literally from everywhere. It was pretty amazing. So just understand that there's a lot of good stuff going on. It says looks like this challenge will use the one from last month.
Michael, you just brought me back into the main room.
I know, everybody. Here we go. Rooms are opening right now. We're going to try the rooms again. It looks like Christine had a challenge too, Michael, with her system freezing up or something. So I don't know if it's a Zoom issue or a computer issue, not sure, but maybe you want to I think, guys, and I know this for a fact that Zoom is being overloaded. I know that they're probably stretching all of their limits, not because of our call today, but certainly because of our broadcast today, but certainly because of...
Alrighty, hold on one second. Let me get resituated again. Sorry about that, folks. Technology. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. All right, just give me one more second. I just want to make sure that everything is back. Alrighty. Okay, so here we are. We're good. Alrighty, so can you all hear me all right? Let me just turn comments back on so I can see.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. All right, so like I was going to say earlier, I really like engagement, so I'm going to ask you some questions, make some statements throughout this talk. If you could put a number in the chat, raise your hand, that would be super fantastic. Anytime something resonates with you or you're a yes. So let me ask you the first set of questions. When you became an entrepreneur, did you dream about being tied to a desk? Did you really dream about being a slave to your own business? That's something you wanted, right? How about having this really long laundry to-do list that never seemed to end? That really appealed to you, right? No, of course not. You would never dream about these things. If you were anything like me, you started your business because you had a genius to share, an idea that you knew needed to be shared with the world, and you wanted to share it in such a way that allowed you to live a life of freedom. Does that sound more like you relate to that? Okay, well, I'm the CEO and founder of Wise Tribe. Together, we're a team of technology experts and strategists. We help businesses all over the world streamline and automate. Our mission is to help millions of people like yourself all over the world live a life of freedom by making technology accessible, by enabling you to rip up that to-do list, and still accomplish so much. But even more important, in my opinion, we want to enable you to be prepared for success, whether it's knocking for the first time or you're elevating over and over and over again. We want you to have that open door policy to success, and we want you to be able to invite it in. So, you ready to get started? Because in this talk, I want you to learn exactly how to streamline and automate your business, to rip up your to-do list and break those bonds, to live that life of freedom and always, always, always welcome success, because that's really why we're all here, right? All right, so quick landscape. How many of you are just starting out? Maybe you're currently working on your website. Just go ahead and put a quick 1 in the chat if that is you. And how many of you are on the next stage? Maybe you have your website, you're looking to increase traffic, SEO. Maybe you're adding a podcast or a blog. Cool, getting some 2s. How many of you are even further along? You have your website, you have some traffic, you're capturing leads, and now you're looking to convert, to maybe take your book, your podcast, your blog, your YouTube channel, or even your Facebook group and monetize it. All right, we're getting some 3s. Cool, you're being engaging. I love it. All right, so how many of you are even further along than that? You have your website and you're monetizing, and now you're looking for additional streams of revenue. Maybe you want to start creating digital courses, membership sites. Maybe you even want to go on TV or have a radio station. Okay, so not as many of you. Well, anyway, these are all examples of technology, but not just technology, specifically how you can use technology to elevate your business. And here's the key, without adding to your to-do list, because that's really important. I started Wise Tribe because I wanted to make technology accessible to the masses. What I found was that there are 3 main obstacles holding people back. And I'm going to tell you what they are, but before I do, I'd like to take you on a little journey. It's my journey of how I figured out that optimization is actually my purpose in life, which sounds kind of strange. But how I optimized my path to success, and now I get to live that life of freedom. So are you okay if I take you on this journey? Okay, cool. So when I was little, I was this happy-go-lucky child. I grew up in Westport, Massachusetts. It's known for its vast beaches and farmlands, its glorious mansions, and wealthy people. I spent many days in these mansions, but I didn't grow up in any of them. In fact, I didn't even live that kind of lifestyle. My parents believed more in the riches of love and quality time together than they did in material possessions. Instead of shopping and going on exotic vacations, I grew up exploring, playing outside, and going to work with my dad in these mansions because he was an entrepreneur. He was a master plumber. I loved life. I was friends with all the kids in my neighborhood. I felt loved. I felt rich. But school was another beast entirely, and it changed me. From kindergarten all the way through high school, I was bullied. I didn't know what bullying was in those early days. All I knew was that I didn't like to go to school. Anyone relate to that? The people doing the bullying changed over time, but that feeling of not liking school, that never went away. I never wanted to complain about my troubles because I was raised to appreciate my riches rather than complain about my struggles. To me, this is a lesson in perspective. And actually, I'm going to take a slight sidestep and define optimization for you, which may seem like a random tangent, but it's not. You see, I'm a dreamer. I like to look at things as they could be rather than as they are. And the definition of optimization, it's making the best of anything. So this journey that I'm taking you on, it's going to show you how optimization, it's woven into my DNA. Pretty cool. As a child, I played sports, I explored outside, I even created these imaginary worlds in my mind that I could go live in. You see, I felt alone in the real world, so I escaped to what could be, which was built in my mind. I spent so much time escaping, though, that I nearly flunked at life. In fact, I barely graduated high school. But the fact that I did, in my mind, meant I was done. I had crossed that finish line, I had fulfilled my obligation to my parents, and the end of bullying was in sight, and I was free. My mom, though, she's the wife of a retired Navy officer, a woman who climbed up to be the vice president of 5 companies simultaneously, all with only a high school diploma. So you think a woman like that is going to let her daughter not go to college? No. And thankfully so, because I went on to get a degree in computer science, a master's in engineering management, a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and I turned around and graduated top of my class in all those degrees. So what I learned in this process was that bullies are everywhere, right? And I wasn't actually sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second there. Yeah, they are everywhere. But optimization. Oh, sorry. What I was going to say was Lean Sigma black belt. You know, most people are like, oh, black belt. So you know karate, right? No, it doesn't actually mean I can beat up bullies. It means that optimization, again, is one of the cornerstones of my DNA. Because a black belt in Lean Six Sigma means that you know how to optimize, basically. So anyway, I went on to get certifications in leadership and management. I've done extensive personal growth work, which you'll see is important later on. And you know what made the shift for me? Perspective. Because I went on to college. I went to college reluctantly, but it was in that reluctance that I decided I was going to make the best of my situation. I picked a degree that was short and fun, pastry arts. When I got to school, I joined the cake decorating club as an effort, to make the best of things. And as part of that club, I got to cook with Julia Childs in her kitchen. I got to help make the desserts of the opening night event of the Providence Convention Center. And that gig actually landed me a job interview. And that job interview landed me a job as the youngest ever executive pastry chef in Rhode Island for an extremely prestigious country club. And this all happened before I finished my first trimester of college. So overnight, I had become the popular kid. And everyone wanted to know how I did it. I ended up going from being an underachiever to an overachiever, from a nobody to a somebody, from a failure to a success story. But it wasn't the popularity that I loved. It was this feeling feeling needed, this feeling that I mattered, that my gifts could help other people, that I had purpose, right? Because that's really what we're after. So a pastry wasn't for me, but serving and sharing my expertise was and still is. I didn't know it at the time, but making the best out of my situation gave me my purpose. Now that I'm older and I've done all that personal growth work, I realize I was never actually afraid of those bullies. I was afraid of not mattering. Can you relate to that? Everything happens for a reason. For me, I'm more thankful for my tribulations than I am actually for my triumphs. I've learned more, I've grown more, I have more creativity and compassion and empathy. I can relate to a broader audience. My life, it has purpose. In my ability to see what could be rather than what is, I'm able to get at the heart of what people envision, of who my clients are, where they're trying to go. I can act as their beacon to show them the way to their vision, but I can also act as the boat to help them get there. So I've made a career out of putting the right solutions in place for people at the right time. And let me tell you, I'm really good at it. So write this down. Boasting or knowing your value is not boasting. It's insight into what your purpose is. You were put on this planet with a genius to share. So I urge you not to play small, to share that genius. I spent decades in corporate America and in higher education, working from everything from startups to major corporations, from small colleges to large universities. And let me tell you something. I've experienced my share of bullies there too. They didn't pull my pigtails or call me names, but they did try to push me down and make me feel less than. The difference, I knew my worth. The more I succeeded, the more they tried. And the harder I fought for my success, but also the success of those around me. I kept thinking, if I could just get to this rung of the ladder, I'd have enough pull to inflict change, to make things right, to show them a better way. Let me tell you, I made it to the top. I have been an executive at top institutions like Harvard University for almost a decade, Berklee College of Music, Boston Conservatory, Ez Software, which is a fintech firm in Boston, if you haven't heard of it. And again, bullies are everywhere, but you can lead from anywhere. And my gifts, this is something I learned, were too big to fit into the walls of a single company. And I suspect that's true for you too. So I challenged myself to recreate my imaginary life in the real world, to optimize my path to success and share that success with you. So I quit my job. I sold my $500,000 home in Boston. I gave away everything I owned that didn't fit in my Honda Civic and hit the road as a digital nomad. So today, I bring to you all of my decades of experience, my really expensive education, my how I did it stories, my $1 million network, and my whole team of tech geniuses. Because now I'm on purpose, helping millions of folks like yourself live that life of freedom. Like me, with my whole team of trusted technologies, not just by your side, but behind you, supporting you. So this question comes up all the time. What does that even mean? Why do I need a tech strategist? Well, let me ask you this. How many of you wish you could predict the future? How many of you would like that superpower? How many of you, I don't know, wish you could have predicted this pandemic before it happened? Yeah. Well, we don't do that. But what we do is trend analysis of market research. How many of you think you could probably guess what society was going to do if you just knew what technology was about to become super popular? I'll put it in there in a second. That we do. So let me ask you another question. How many of you have ever asked somebody, yourself, what have you, what system should I use for XYZ? And how many of you have then spent hundreds or even thousands on that system only to find it didn't do what you wanted it to do? And I'm just gonna pin my video. There we go. And answer these comments quickly. Okay. All right. So having a team of technology strategists means you have a team of individuals constantly researching best-in-class solutions. Solutions that solve your problems, that help you achieve your goals. Tools that are the right fit for you, not a one-size-fits-all solution. How many of you have ever lost sleep over an upcoming presentation, wondering if something was going to go wrong? Come on, I know you all have, even if you're not saying you have. But having a tech strategist means you also have support specialists. My clients gave me the nickname The Fixer just for this reason. Okay, so I bet you're all thinking, this must cost a fortune. And I'm actually glad you're thinking that because it's the perfect segue. I told you I was going to tell you, I promised you, in fact, that I was going to give you the 3 main obstacles standing in people's way, preventing them from putting the systems and processes in place that's really going to help them elevate their business. And here we are. Yay! Can you guess what the first one is? Because I basically just gave it to you. It's money. How many of you think how much do you think a technology advisor would cost? Maybe 1,000, 2, 3, 15. What if I added to the equation? What if you had a team of strategists, a team of researchers, a team of support staff, all behind you, supporting you? What do you think it would cost then? 15, several thousand? Maybe you add a comma to the mix. Sorry, my Boston accent just came out. I'm not going to lie, engineers, we rank right up there with lawyers and doctors for how much we can charge by the hour for our expertise. But like I said earlier, I'm on a mission. I feel called, if you will, to enable you to live this life of freedom. And I truly believe technology is the key. I mean, I might be biased, but that doesn't matter, because instead of just telling you what these barriers are, I'm going to show you how we enable you to break right through them. So let's take this first one, for example, money. What if I told you there didn't have to be commas involved? What if I told you you could actually get started automating your success today for free? Not a hoax, not a gimmick, totally free. Today, I'm going to give you lots of juicy tidbits that you can walk away with and start taking action on so that you can start automating your success today. If at the end you want to know more about how you can partner with us, we'll give you that information. Better yet, why don't you do this? Text automation to 26786 and you can have our free gift bundle that will help you get started, again, for free. First steps are free. It's valued over $500. So that's automation to 26786. So now that we've removed money from the equation, what do you think? Helpful so far? You ready to learn what the other 2 barriers are? Do you want to guess? Okay, I'll just tell you. It's time and knowledge. So let's dive right into time. How many of you feel like you're on this hamster wheel? That every time you cross something off of your to-do list, 2 new items seem to magically appear. Frustrating, huh? Okay. How many of you would agree with this statement? I am way too busy to ... Put in a 1 in the chat if you've ever driven a car. Now put a 2 in the chat if you've ever ridden on an airplane or on a train. Okay, now put a 3 in the chat if you weren't the driver, but you were doing something while you were on this plane or train. Maybe you were taking a nap, or you were catching up on some work, or reading a book, or maybe writing a book. Okay, so lots of 3s, and all of you have experienced the power of automation. So automation isn't just the result of building systems. It's also the process of something happening for you without you. So in this case, while somebody else is handling your transportation for you, you're taking care of something that is more important to you. And all it took was the time it took to acquire that ticket. So now if you had somebody else acquire that ticket for you, then you've automated without adding to your to-do list. Pretty cool, huh? That's what we do for our clients. We work with our clients to design and implement their technology. So not only do we take away all those tasks off their to-do list, but we also take away all the stress and anxiety and sleepless nights as well. All right, so we've gone through money, we've gone through time. How are we doing? Still learning? Okay, great. Because we made it to number 3, which is knowledge. So we hear this all the time. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to start. I don't understand technology. And that's okay. You know how many times I've heard the statement, you have never met somebody as computer illiterate as me? About 80% of the time. So newsflash, you can't all be right. But it doesn't matter, because we attract people that are not technology experts, because while we do speak, or I speak over 100 computer languages, I also speak human. Our clients work with us because we can translate that geek speak into human speak, into terms that they understand. This is where all of my life experience pays off. We built our onboarding system around getting to know our clients, how they operate, how they work, what their dreams are, what their vision is, what their short and long-term goals are, even what their strengths and weaknesses are. But most importantly, where they're at now and where they're trying to go, so that we're not building one-size-fits-all solutions, we're building a solution for you. We meet you where you're at and work with you to achieve your vision using technology to streamline that journey. Listen, this is all a catch-22, because after you automate, you'll have more time because you'll eliminate that to-do list. And you'll have more money because it will take less time for your leads to get through your pipeline. Plus, you'll ensure they get into the pipeline in the first place. And you don't have to know any more about technology than you do today, but you will know more about your business because you'll have more data, more analytics, more reporting at your fingertips, and it's all automated. So what do you think? Are you feeling inspired now to knock down these barriers? What do you think about turning this into a working webinar? Are you open to actually start optimizing your business right now, right this second? You can put a 1 in the chat if you are. And put a 2 in the chat if there's something I say that you agree with. I need more leads. I need more sales. I need more revenue. I need a better follow-up system. I need to increase my customer loyalty. So what do all these statements have in common? Anyone want to guess what the process is behind them? The one that I call the silent killer for entrepreneurs? It's the sales process. Maybe you're asking, why is an engineer about to bring up the sales process? Fair enough, but you can't be in business without what? Something to sell. And you can't stay in business without what? Customers. And you need those customers to do what? Give you money. And what do all these three things have in common? The sales process. And what are engineers pretty good at? Optimizing processes. So don't you think it would be really great if you had an engineer to help you optimize the most important process in your business? So how about we do that right now? We optimize right now. So let me see if you follow the age-old sales process like me. Attract, capture, convert, serve, engage, and then retain. Does that sound familiar to you? Is it the process that you use? It's certainly the process I used. I mean, it's age-old, meaning that it's been around for centuries. It's worked for millions, right? So if that's the case, why were you all putting 2s in the comments before? Why wasn't it working for you? Why wasn't it working for me? I mean, I'm not going to lie, I stumbled a lot in my early days. I didn't make money as fast as I wanted to. I do have high expectations. I told you earlier, I quit my job and I went on the road as a digital nomad. I didn't have a plan B. I had limited timeline to make money, or shall I say, a limited bank account. So I challenged myself. I made it into a race to see how fast I could make that first dollar. As an engineer, we're taught try, learn, tweak, and repeat. 37 days. That's how fast I made my first dollar. And that seems fast, but $1 is not sustained income. So I needed to tweak. Another engineering principle: do, repeat, perfect, and then scale. So I challenged myself again. This time, how do I optimize my path to sustained income? Listen, at the speed technology changes, even a technology expert does not know everything. Shocker. But what we are good at is learning and executing at an accelerated rate. So what did I learn? The sales process needed to be re-engineered. Let me give you an example. Let's say today is your first day in business and you're in my spot here speaking on stage. So we said that the first thing in the list was attract. And let's just say thank you to Mr. Bill Walsh and Powerteam for hosting this event, because he's actually checked off attract for you. He's filled your room for you. He invited you to the stage just like he invited me, and he filled your room for you just like he did for me. So thank you to Bill Walsh and actually the whole support team, because they're super amazing. And so we can check attract right off the list, right? So what's next on the list? Oh, it's capture. Okay, well, today is my first day in business. I haven't actually put anything in place, so I guess I'll just use a piece of paper. Do you want to write your name down on here, your information? Oh, that's right, it's virtual, so you can't do that. But even if we were in person, would you actually do that? Have I actually told you what you would get by giving me your information? I mean, how many of you have seen that people are really leery to give you their email or their phone number these days because they know that it implies you're going to communicate with them, right? Okay, so let's move on. Convert. All right, well, today is my first day in business, so what am I converting you to? And serve is next on the list. What am I serving to you? I haven't built anything. So even if I said, oh, I'm going to give you my time, because that doesn't actually take any time to create, I still have to put all the things in place that I need to do that. So I have to put, a payment acceptance stuff in place. Even if it's just setting up Vimeo, I still have to do that, right? And then I have to decide, well, what value am I going to bring you in this conversation that we're having, and how much am I going to charge you for? So are you starting to see what's missing? It's the plan. The sales process implies a level of planning and preparation. As engineers, we're taught to look at the big picture and then all the individual variables and how they fit together so that we can create the most effective solution. So when I look at this process, I think about all the planning and preparation that needs to go into it before you can actually execute it on it. And yes, once you've put that planning and preparation in place, the order is perfect. But until then, you're not set up for success. So let's set you up for success, right? Let's start with capture. Let's actually skip attract and start with capture. Write this down. The keys to capture are easy, everywhere, and memorable. So do be easy to find you. And what do I mean by that? You want to make sure that your name, whether it's your business name or your personal name, is the same on every platform. So this takes a level of planning because you have to make sure that it exists, that it's available for you to be on every platform with the same name. Let's take Mr. Bill Walsh, for example. There is another person, although he's passed away, but there is another person with his name. So there was a level of planning in place that needed to happen in order for him to secure his name everywhere, right? So that's what I mean by do make it easy to find you. Do be everywhere. So you want to be on all the platforms because you want all the doors to be open so that no matter where somebody's at, they can find you. Now, you don't want to spend your time on all these platforms because 80% of your target audience are on one platform. So you're going to spend 80% of your time on that target platform. And then you can use a tool like Later or Planoly or something along those lines to make one post and have it distributed everywhere. And then you do want to be memorable. And what does this mean? It means you have a consistent brand like Apple and Google and all of the things. So as soon as somebody says your name, they know exactly who you are and where to find you. So if there's do's, there's obviously don'ts, right? So don't be intrusive and don't overshare. So what do I mean by this? Ask for one thing, tell one thing. I like to compare being in entrepreneurship like dating. It's kind of like courting your ideal mate in life. Courting clients is like courting your ideal mate in life. You want to keep them coming back for more. You don't want to scare them off by thinking you're a stalker, by being intrusive, but you also don't want them to think you're crazy or boring or desperate because you're oversharing. You're giving them too much information. So what does this mean? It means that your landing pages, even if they're not squeeze pages, are just cliff notes into who you are so that they have somewhere to go from there. And your opt-ins are one piece of information, either email or phone number or direct connect. It's not all three. So instead of being these things, intrusive and overbearing, you want to be intriguing, alluring, captivating. Okay, so we started with lead capture, and now where do we want to go to? So put a 1 in the comments if you agree with these statements. Money is in the follow-up. Engagement builds loyalty. It's easier to sell to an existing client than bring on a new one. Okay, so if these are true, wouldn't it make sense that follow-up is the next in our process? A friend once said to me, hey, we were coming to an event just like this one, and she said, hey, I got a text to remind me to sign up for tomorrow's events. That was super genius, and it reminded me to send out my texts. And I thought, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because I had set up my automation months in advance, like I do for all of these events. And I had totally forgotten that I had done it. But that's the beauty of automation, is it's a set it and forget it kind of thing. Okay, how many of you believe this statement? Marketing emails are impersonal. You're in good company. I'm going to let you in on a fact and a secret. They work, but they don't have to be impersonal. The difference when you work with us is we show you how to personalize your automation. No more cold, robotic sales emails. But like I said, the sales copy works, so you have to use it. But you can interject your personal brand and your personal touches. You can actually automate your keywords, and you can plan gifts for when your clients meet certain milestones in your sales process. So we started with capture, then we built our follow-up. Now we can actually get started using the sales process even before we've built the rest of the process. Why? Because we know our doors are open and we're ready to greet anyone that enters. We've automated to be able to accept scale, even no matter how much exposure we get, because we know we're not going to lose track of anyone. We know that we've automated our follow-up. So we've set ourselves up for success. We've re-engineered our sales process, and we're already optimizing our path to success. How, you might be asking? You remember earlier I gave you an engineering principle. Do, repeat, perfect, and scale. So we did it. We did the do. We built our lead and capture, our follow-up systems. Of course, we'll perfect that over time, but in the meantime, we can move on to scaling. So how do we do that? We work on serving. While our lead capture and follow-up process is working for us, we can build out our products and services. And best of all, when we have products and services to sell, we will already have a list to sell them to. Cool, right? All right, so now you've learned how to have the open door policy to success. You've learned how to start automating your success. Can you start to see the freedom on the horizon? So what's next? I have a couple minutes to let you ask some questions. I just want to remind you that you can text automation to 26786 for your free gift bundle to get started. You can also go to wisetribe.com, which has the same effects. You can put your email address in there. So wisetribe to automation to 26786 or wisetribe.com to get started. If you actually want to apply to have us build all of your stuff for you, you can text automate to 26786. So similar, just less letters. And I have a few minutes, so I can take a couple of questions if any of you have any and you would like me to answer them for you. So does anyone have any quick questions before Michael gives us that hook? Anyone? How many of you? Ellie, do you want to ask a question? You'll have to come off
Yes,
mute.
can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, so yesterday I decided to move forward and get my CRM. I remember you said you got to have a database.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is like basic. So I went to
HubSpot? Yep.
Yes, and I clicked to register, and right in the middle of the 4 steps, they ask you for your URL. And I didn't have one. So went over to GoDaddy, then started shopping for my domain names. And I'm at that stage. I just want you to know, it's like I was dead and now I'm getting a pulse.
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
I'm going to hire you as soon as I can.
I'm so excited for you. You're taking action. So you're telling the universe you're ready, and it's going to reward you. It's going to point you in the right direction. So I'm super excited for you.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yay.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be on your Wise Tribe site.
Yeah.
Thank
And,
you, Melanie.
Yeah, and I'll put this in here too. I can't even spell my own name. McSally.as.me. This is my link to my calendar for complimentary consultations. You'll get that anyway if you opt into automation, but if you want to circumvent the process, you can sign up there. I do those on Fridays. Yeah. Anyone else have a question before Michael calls us back? Oh, he says we have 8 minutes. Yay! So we have 8 minutes for questions. Anyone? I mean, I can ramble if you guys don't have questions, but I'd rather make it.
Okay, you want me to keep?
Well, I think Shay has a question.
Okay.
Your email, please.
Sure. There you go.
So you put it in the chat thing?
I did. I put all the names of things that I mentioned in the chat. So there's automate to 26786 to apply, automation to 26786 for gifts, and then my website is WiseTrend. There you go. And then I mentioned earlier Later or Planoly, so I put those in there. They're both just .coms. And then HubSpot is what Ellie just mentioned. That's a free CRM. So if anyone wants me to talk about that, I can talk about that.
Okay, so picking your, this consistent
Ellie,
brand across all your channels.
Ellie, you're breaking up a bit, but I think you're saying talk about having a consistent brand. I actually want to recommend that you...
there are all these new domain extensions.
Okay, so I think I know what questions you're asking, Ellie, so I'm going to answer them because I can't really hear you. So I want to recommend that you go to Farhana Cannon's talk later on today. Her name is Farhana Cannon, because she's going to dive into branding and social media presence. I think she's at 2 o'clock, I want to say, 2 o'clock Eastern time. I'm not positive on that, but she's towards the end of the day. So she's going to talk about cohesive branding and social media presence. The other thing I think I hear you saying is all these new extensions for domain names. So you always want to have the .com, the .net, and the .org. You want to pick a name that allows you to have those three, because it's not that you necessarily need to buy those three, but it's more so you don't want other people to buy them, because if they buy them and you're the .com or you're the .net or you're the .org, then there's a likelihood that somebody's going to type in the wrong URL and they're going to end up on somebody else's site instead of yours. And there are two things that stop people in their tracks. One is complexity. So if something is too difficult, they're just going to walk away. They want you to make it as easy for them as possible, which is why I say let's open all doors to people. And the other is choice paralysis, which really just boils back down to complexity. So if you give people too many choices, they also are going to walk away because they're going to think you're not the expert in your field. Believe it or not, even if you have 500 products and services, to express that you're the expert in your field, they only want to know which one they should buy. And you need to tell them that. And if you can't tell them that, they think you're not the expert in your field. So that's why we create these things called squeeze pages, which literally only squeeze people into one product at a time. So you want to make sure you can secure the .com, the .org, and the .net. The other ones are really just based on if you want to have a cool name. So like one of my clients, Christine McKay, hi Christine if you're on here, she secured a .zone because her podcast is negotiating in the Venn zone. So she thought it would be cool, and it is, right? So she secured the .zone. Some people secure .info because they're an informational website, so on and so forth. .org is mainly for nonprofits. So if you're a nonprofit, you should definitely have a .org. If you're creating education, you should have a .edu. If you're creating, like, if you're going to go get certifications to have a university or something. If one of them's already taken, honestly, you should pick a different name. You should pick a different name, and it should be, there should be a distinction. So you shouldn't, so my name is Wise Tribe, right? And if somebody already had this name, I wouldn't go do Wise Tribes with an S at the end, because that's not distinctive enough. Think about it from the trademark perspective. It needs to be unique enough that you can trademark it if you want to. And so just adding an underscore, a dot, or an S at the end is not, or even an ing, is not going to distinguish you from the other business that has that name. So you want to choose a name, and it's really hard because now everybody's in the internet industry. So it's really hard, but you really want to find a name that is unique. There are name generators out there, artificial intelligence name generators. You can just do a search for one of just like a domain name generator. But there are free tools out there that can help you. So what it does is it asks you for traits about your business, keywords about your business, and then it will come up with cool names. Like, you can tell it that you want to join multiple words together, that you want to misspell words, that you want, any sorts of different criteria. And you just tell it what you want to do, and it will generate a bunch of names for you. Now, the key is that it's going to generate names for you. You still have to go check to see if those names are available. Some of those tools do, in fact, tell you if the .com, .net, and .org are available, but most of them do not, so you have to go look. Any additional questions? All right, so let me ask you guys a question if nobody has any. What is one thing that you're really struggling with? How important is it to have an online product prior to automation? Well, you really should start automating first. As I said earlier, you should automate your capture and your follow-up before you ever have a product or service. And that's super easy to do because you don't actually need anything to get started. You do have to have your domain name. And here's a good point, or a good pointer as well, is you actually want to get an email address that's for your domain name, because security is better when it's a private domain versus a public Gmail account or a public Yahoo account or what have you. So email is one of the most insecure modes of transportation. It's very easily hackable, but it's less hackable if you're on your own domain name, if you're on your own private area. So there's many reasons to get your own private domain name. And once you've done that, then you can start automating your capture and your follow-up. And it looks like we are getting pulled back to the main session. So thank you everybody for being here. It was really cool to have you all engaged and join me. I'm super excited to learn more about your businesses. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.